Interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Chizito. On Spectrum tonight, we are going to be reviewing the week. Some of the issues during this week. The demand for transparency in the oil sector. Parliament is demanding for transparency in the oil sector. And it's possible that the House, that is Parliament, will be recalled from this recess to discuss the issue. Members of Parliament want all documents, including agreements, made public, fearing that Uganda might be cheated. President Museveni has dismissed the debate about the oil sector as cheap talk, while Prime Minister Imam has said the effects of oil can turn into a curse if not properly addressed. So we're going to ask the question: should government open up and make public all aspects, all documents relating to the oil sector? We're going to look at the economy. President Museveni this week said he was going to launch an NRM company to produce products at low cost in order to cut down on fleecing private business people, what you call fleecing private business people. We're also going to look at the NRM intrigue and internal squabbles within that party. The NRM chairman, that's President Museveni, issued a warning to legislators who oppose his party's positions that they risk being kicked out of the party. So we're going to be looking at that. We'll look at the KCCA legal battle. Lord Mayor, Kampala Lord Mayor Arias Lukwago dragging the KCCA Executive Director Jennifer Museveni to court, accusing her of usurping his powers. Mr. Lukwago has petitioned the High Court to try and restrain Museveni from interfering with the activities that should be executed by him. So we're going to be looking at that. We'll also look at the Zambian elections. An opposition leader, 73-year-old Michael Sata, has been sworn in as president of that country, defeating former incumbent President Rupia Banda, who got only 36% of the vote. We'll talk about that as well tonight. Our guests, we have Imam Kasozi, a lecturer at IUIU, also a Muslim cleric. You're most welcome, Imam Kasozi.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers and listeners.
Viewers, because we are also on the internet via YouTube. You can access that through the Radio 1 website. We also expect to be joined by Honorable Christine Bako Abia, Arua District Woman MP. We believe she's on her way. We expect her to join us shortly, as well as Mr. Kintu Nyago, Deputy Principal Private Secretary to President Yoweri Museveni. Imam Kasozi, how do you see this discussion? Do you think the government should open up and make public all aspects of the oil sector, or should it stick to its agreements with the developers?
Well, thank you very much. I think the primary question is, who owns this oil? If it is Ugandans that own this oil, as it should be, then we have the right to know what is going on. And the reason why I think we should press for it highly is because we have a history of bad agreements rocking all African oil-producing countries, to the extent that in some of these oil-producing countries, people are still paupers, whereas the dealers themselves really siphon off all the wealthy and the poor remain poor. So I think it is our right as Ugandans to demand for this information. And therefore, since in Uganda we have a law that gives us opportunity to make all information public, then I think the parliamentarians are not asking too much. It will be unfortunate. I have said somewhere else, and I want to reiterate it in my sermon this afternoon. The reason why people are so bothered, and they are not bothered and they are not worried when people are being asked, is because we lack one important aspect in life: saying the truth despite the circumstances. I am calling upon the Attorney General of Uganda and the government of the Republic of Uganda to be wise enough and help to save a situation, because if people keep on hearsay and rumors, mistrust and lies, we may experience what Prime Minister Mbabas is talking about, that oil may become a curse. And therefore, I think it is not yet out of hand. We can know what it is. And then the sectors they talk about, business, I know is business, but this is a product that is supposed to be owned by all Ugandans, and that all Ugandans should benefit equally But those who put in something will get, of course, something out of it. But I think it is our right to know what have they agreed upon.
All right, we'll get back to those details briefly shortly. But first of all, it turned out yesterday that even though Parliament claims not to have seen the agreements, at least one committee saw them in the last Parliament. So individual members have seen the documents. Why would they be posturing?
Individual members have seen. Why is it hard? Why does it become selective? We don't need to be selective in this matter, because members of Parliament are not ordinary people. They are not peasants in Wheater where I grow pineapples. No, they are not cattle keepers somewhere that they are looking after animals. They are not just every holiday can Tom. They are members of Parliament elected by the people of Uganda on a universal suffrage per constituency. And therefore I think if they are demanding, and they should be shown, because I know when they see, many of us will have seen, we shall see. But if people are hiding and they are playing the sick and the hide and seek games, then I think there is something wrong. Maybe let us know the facts, because there are rumors that probably we don't have enough oil reserves, and therefore some people are making deals out of it, and in the process we shall find ourselves indebted.
Oh, but you can't say we don't have enough oil. These people are committing $10 billion.
Yes. Then and they are committing it to people who don't know, speculators. They may be speculators, or they may have speculated, and now they may have seen the reality. That's why selling every other time, none of the companies is getting stable.
Well, but that's normal. Some companies are upstream, some companies are downstream, some companies are middle stream.
At least some of the companies that had the opportunity to begin this work, I know they are well grounded in this field. If it was probably lucrative enough, they wouldn't easily just set it off. They would tap the resources. Or there are tricks, like it has been before, whereby a certain government land, property is given out in the name of somebody else, and later we realize that the presumed owner is not really the owner. And therefore we may be experiencing what we experienced over the NSSF funds and the Temangalo thing, and what we see now with my brother Hassan Masaja Malaba and the KCC and government of Uganda. Every other time is being paid money on no issue at all. Okay, on no issue at all. Sometimes what we used to own. Okay, so it is really critical that the members of Parliament, and we must hope for them, they should put their foot down and ask for these contracts. So this argument that some people have seen, if some people have seen, let all the people see.
Officially?
Yes.
Why don't they bring the others? Because the AG says he's not going to show them to anyone.
No, you know, sometimes the lawyers are very funny and tricky people. They know the right things. They are interested in just making arguments, and in the final analysis they blame somebody else. I told you, and I want to retaliate it. I picked this one from the headmaster of Budo, presented a talk, and he told us, he gave us an obituary of common sense.
Oh,
that
it died at a certain stage.
And this is exactly what is going on. People, they want now to create excuses and reasons for somebody else to blame. They hate me because I don't belong to this category of people, and so I am being sacrificed. All these arguments. So I want us to be firm and say, let us have these contracts. And civil society, actually, I am part of the civil society. We are a very weak civil society in this country. We fear to stand up, to be counted. And one of the reasons why is because we are also not transparent in some of our operations. We get worried that we may be exposed. So those of us who think that we are transparent and we are open. Let us support the MPs, and then we see the demand becoming real. And I think what I know, Madam Kadaga, since if she got all the necessary requirements, the signatures, and she's a very firm lady, she will invite this parliament, and I think we should redeem the parliament, because people had started losing trust in the members of parliament.
Imam Kasozi, President Museveni, let's talk about the NRM and the economy. President Museveni was bitter about the high commodity prices. He accused some traders of fleecing Ugandans off by taking advantage of the financial crisis hiking. I think it's not about things like sugar, where a kilo costs 8,000 shillings, even though the factory prices are around 2,800 shillings. He says they are going to create, the NRM is going to create companies. So is that a solution? Is that something you look forward to? You wake up in the morning and hope say today is probably the day?
In business terms, I don't take Mr. Museveni seriously.
Oh, really?
Yes, very.
What do you mean?
He's a gambler. In business, he's a real gambler. He gambles and he thinks, because every other day he blames people.
No, but the other day here we had Danze in 1996.
I'm telling you, he's just a gambler. He's really a speculator. He has taken up the role. What he accused, you know, he was part of the team that removed the Isa from power, yes, because of turning State House into a clearing house.
Yes.
Now State House is a clearing house.
What do you mean by that?
It's a store for money, and we are being told people are stealing sacks of money from the State House, and then they concoct stories that it was stolen from Okera House, because they want to hook Uganda, and they think people don't have this information. You see, and quickly they turn up and promote military officers.
Let's get it very clearly.
Yes.
I mean, I know somebody has said that what you lose on the roundup, but you gain on the loop. Africa lost one canoe, but now we have many more canoes here in Uganda.
Yeah, that's I am saying. I am saying that until people begin to believe, to know that the world has changed, reality and information cannot be kept secret.
Yes.
Okay? Then we shall not move. One of the weakest points of the third world countries, slow reaction to changes that take place.
Yes.
That's why the population, for example, now would be agitating for what the members of Parliament. So Mr. Museveni blames everybody for all the economic weaknesses in this country. Yes. Whereas he was part and parcel of the whole system that vandalized the Ugandan economy, and then by distorting cooperative unions, Uganda Commercial Bank, the indigenous banks, blah blah blah. And he thought, probably he thought he could own Uganda. And sometimes I want to believe that President Museveni thinks Uganda is going to close with him.
What do you mean?
It is going to end tomorrow with him.
A premala delusion. You see,
something that he should be aware of as an educated person, as a traveled person, as a president for 25 years. Okay, because sometimes I sit down and believe my statement, because when I look at Mr. Museveni, President Museveni, he has never believed that he's the president of the Republic of Uganda.
What do you mean?
He all the time is skeptical, and he blames everybody. He says he wants to throw people out of his party. He says he wants all this, and he, you know, he was complaining that in the 60s these other parties were throwing people out like that, and so Professor Kabwejere stated that African leaders commit the same mistakes.
Yes.
And Mr. Museveni is committing exactly the same mistakes like his predecessors, and he will be unfortunate. So this business of a quick promotion in the army, after people have said the money has disappeared in what? In State House, and then the argument begin 17 billion. 20 million, as somebody says 2 million. The reality is money was
stolen.
Yes. And therefore we want to know how, if money can be stolen at that extent in the State House,
yes, then
what about the local person in this country? Where is his security? Where is the security of his property?
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. That's Imam Kasozi, a man who likes to think outside of the box. It helps spread knowledge boundaries, knowledge frontiers. We have just been joined by two other guests. Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Publicity Secretary for the Democratic Party. Pardon me? Deputy Secretary General. Or has something changed?
No, it has already.
Deputy Secretary General. Well, pardon my error, and thank you for that correction. Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, one of the country's oldest parties. We've also just been joined by Mr. Kintu Nyago, Deputy Principal Private Secretary. I think I got that one correctly, to President Museveni. You're most welcome, Mr. Nyago.
Thank you, Edmond. Good evening, listeners.
Mr. Mayanja, the demand for transparency in the oil sector, very briefly.
Well, I think government should always be accountable. And in this issue of oil, government has refused to be accountable, to be transparent. We need to be transparent in this, because oil is not for only those who are present today, but is also for the future generations. Therefore, Ugandans have a right to know how this resource is going to be managed. And I think the president is trying to handle this as a private affair. He's even backing around and saying, why are you talking about this? The oil was just discovered yesterday. Yes, we understand it.
In the 1930s, actually.
It was just discovered yesterday, but it belongs to Ugandans, and they ought to know how you want to handle that. Maybe next time we shall be told that Uganda has uranium. And President Museveni should not stand up and say, yes, I discovered uranium, so you don't need to question me. We need to know as a country. We need to know under what program are we going to manage this. Are we going to take the model, the Norway model, which is about saving for the future?
Yes.
Or we are just going to give out this oil like Nigeria has done? Ugandans need to know all this, and I'm very happy that Parliament is just being called back, just to debate that. And I think the president should really get out of this and leave the people who are supposed to handle trade, economy, minerals to handle it, not the president. The president can have an overseeing, an oversight role, not really to direct how this sector will be managed.
All right. Incidentally, you mentioned that this oil is for generations to come. Incidentally, it's only for 25 years. It's not a very long time. Libya has it for 80 years. Ours is only 25 years. It's not too long. We'll have it available for mining. Also, you mentioned Norway. Norway helped us to design our oil and gas contract, gas policy, national oil and gas policy. So maybe we'll follow that policy. Maybe we'll not. It's an excellent policy. We've seen it. Mr. Nyago, talk to us about the oil. The demand for transparency. Is it justified or is it not? Very briefly.
No, I won't be brief. I'll need to make a comment also. And then, since His Excellency is being accused wrongly, I mean, natural justice demands that the other side be heard out.
You defend him.
Go on.
No, I explain things as I see them.
Yes.
And then, I mean, if a wrong perception is being created, I think it's important you are talking about transparency. It's important, and accountability. It's important that all sides are given a chance. To begin with, nobody's hiding anything. I mean, there's debate even as we speak now, and that's very healthy, and nobody's going to be arrested after this kind of program. Secondly, Parliament has called for the debate. Yes, the debate, and in case, as you have mentioned, Parliament is coming out and going to do so. That's positive, and it's acting within a given framework, a framework that didn't fall from heaven. I'm sure we all do recall Idi Amin and Obote. This couldn't have happened then, or colonialism. So now that Parliament is doing this, and now that it's going to happen, as you're saying, that's positive. And this is the kind of framework that President Museveni himself created, the constitutional framework.
Is Obote and Amin our benchmark?
I didn't speak when I was speaking. Who should I compare ourselves to? Heaven or?
Go on, Mr. Nyago.
So some other country? I'm referring to our own historical situation.
Go on.
As I would say, talk about Bencho and when I'm talking about DP. Now, what model to be followed? It will be the Ugandan model. We don't need to follow the Norwegian model or any other model.
Well, they helped us design our policy.
Sure, I'm sure that somebody helped them to design theirs. So, the point I'm making is, good lessons would be learned from them, but we're not going to mimic or copy them.
Okay.
Because we find they are saving for the future.
Right.
In our case, what I know, and this is fairly public, we are going to invest in about 2 or 3 areas. One, infrastructure.
Yes.
Like power generation, infrastructure, like roads, infrastructure, like rails, and also the social capital. We are going to invest in human beings to be trained, especially scientists, because it is these that are going to transform our society and economy. So we are not going to bank money like the Norwegians. They have their reasons, we have ours. To begin with, we are a third world country and we're poor. I mean, we can't just begin banking money like Mr. Gaddafi, for example, has 150 billion in Western markets.
Yes.
And you can, so people are calling him corrupt, but I mean, those are in Libyan government funds.
So he wasn't a bad man after all.
I'm not saying that. Now, I saw in the papers that the Attorney General and the person, I think the Revenue Authority chief, were explaining to people that the kinds of information that many politicians or Parliament is calling for is already in the public domain.
Yes.
That's what they said.
Yes.
So really, could this be a storm in a teacup? But well, let Parliament come back. They get their allowances. They debate this thing for the good of the country. No problem. And how will it be managed? I'm certain that, in as much as we're not perfect, there's a very strong political commitment to manage this thing for the good of the country on the model of this mentioned, the grand model of infrastructure and also training people. Now, is President Museveni justified to direct policy, to engage in this debate, to engage in the management of the oil sector? Exactly. Because he has a national mandate. Ministers are representative of the president. Ministers don't have their own national mandate. Ministers are commissioned and disappointed by the president. And that's constitutional. So the president is the head of government. Now is trade, industry, and the oil sector under government? I would imagine so. And because it's under government, the president would not be interfering when he directs, when he guides, or when he manages any sector.
This is Spectrum on Radio, and tonight we are reviewing the week. We're going for a break. We'll be back.
Let's show you how to multiply your savings, starting with the cash beneath the mattress to the savings in the bank that aren't making money. Let's turn your savings into somethings with Super Save Reloaded. Super Save Reloaded brings you savings and investment accounts which offer you a sure and predictable way to multiply your savings. For more information about Super Save Reloaded, ask at your nearest Stanbic Bank branch.
Stanbic Bank, moving forward.
I want to be alive and free.
The spirit that binds us.
Strictly not for sale to persons under 18 years. Please drink responsibly.
Is your internet provider turning your world upside down? Broadband Company offers fast and reliable internet solutions. And for the first 100 subscribers this month, we offer zero connection fees. Save up to 400,000. For more information on these offers, call toll-free 0800 222 111.
Broadband Company, more than you expect. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum. Tonight we're looking at the week just gone by. Our guests, Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, Mr. Kintu Nyago, Deputy Principal Private Secretary to President Museveni, and Imam Kasozi, lecturer at the IUIU, also a Muslim cleric. You can send a contribution through your phone, send text message to, what you do is type the word Spectrum, leave a space, message, question or comment, send it to 7197. That is Spectrum, message body, send it to 7197. We'll read it on air if you send it before this show is out. Let's talk about NRM intrigue and internal squabble. Mr. Imam Kasozi, the NRM chairman, who's President Museveni, issued a warning to legislators. It says those so-called NRM liberators, Theodore Sechikuba, Mohamed Nsereko, Vincent Shamadidi, Henry Musasizi, Winfred Liwaga, that he's going to expel them from the party. Those are not words we've heard him say ever at all.
I have said earlier that it is funny that President Museveni is saying that people is going to expel people when he has been accusing Obote of expelling some people from the party before. Is he repeating the Obote style? So I think what Professor Kabwejere said, that African leaders commit the same mistakes, President Museveni is going back to that. And I am very certain that